I was listening to J. Vernon McGee. Anybody who wants to hear an awesome pastor preaching from the Bible in clear, easy way to understand. He's a good one to listen to. J. Vernon McGee. So as I was listening to one of his sermons, talking about the devil, Satan, and until people see a need, because right now we hear people talking about, I don't believe in God, I don't believe we need a God, I don't believe there's a creator, I don't, everything happened by accident, whatever the excuses are, to believe. And because they're trying to make a reality fit what makes them comfortable, they can ignore all the signs. Okay, and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at signs, evidence, and things like that. Now, we want to know what God says about evidence. I'm going to read this in the book of Romans, because it's important that we understand that no one has an excuse. Nobody has an excuse. Atheists, non-believers, whatever group they want to fall in, they are unbelievers. Believers, capital B, believers, are those who follow Christ. Presumably, they've gone through the process that they are saved. They've gone through the justification through Christ, and so another one of the terms I want to discuss when I use the term believe, I don't mean like I believe such and such might occur, or I believe I've got this this kind of this thought that I believe this. There's believe, and then there's in your gut know. And that's what I'm talking about, believe. Illustration for the way I use the word believe. You go to an exhibition, and there is a sniper, military sniper. He says, I'm going to shoot 3,000 meters, and I'm going to hit that pumpkin. Imagine that pumpkin is, good size, right? Maybe a foot and a half across. It's a good sized pumpkin. 3,000 meters, it's orange, it's bright. Boom, he shoots it. And now I'm going to put something a little smaller up there. He's going to pick up a watermelon. One of those is a little bit, but it's not as big. It's a watermelon. Going to put it out there 3,000 meters. I'm going to shoot it. Boom, he shoots it. One shot. Cantaloupe. Not that big, right? Puts it out there 3,000 meters and shoots it. I'm going to put an apple out there. Now, we all know an apple is really small. Puts an apple out there 3,000 meters and shoots it. Now, I'm going to put a walnut out there. About that big, right? Walnut. Puts it out there 3,000 meters. Bam! One shot. Shoots it. He says, now, who believes I can shoot an apple off your head? Crowd. Everybody raises their hand. Oh, I believe you can shoot an apple off of someone's head. No. Who believes I can shoot an apple off of your head? Nobody raises their hand. Now, when I say believe, I mean you're so sure you could get out there, put that apple on your head from 3,000 meters, and he shoots it off your head. That is belief. Now, there's a mixture. You could say, well, that's also faith. Okay, yes, it is. You've seen him, but see, it's not really faith because you've seen his skill. You've seen him do this out there. Okay, so there's a difference. Remember, faith has to do with the unseen. For instance, the believer who believes God is the creator, created the earth and everything on it and within it, the solar system, the universe, everything, in that 6 days, that's faith, because we were not there to see it. We have now the remnants that were put in motion that fit a pattern that makes sense. It's the physical things we see that back up what we've read. Now, this Romans chapter 1, I'll read verse 18, 19, 20, 21. And we'll read through 24. So Romans 1, 18 through 24. Against all godlessness and unrighteousness of people who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. Since what can be known about God is evident among them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, that is, the creation of the world, being understood through what he has made. As a result, people are without excuse. Instead, their thinking became nonsense, and their senseless minds were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man, birds, four-footed animals, and reptiles. Idolatry. Therefore, God delivered them over in the cravings of their hearts to sexual impurity, so that their bodies were degraded among themselves. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worshipped and served something created instead of the Creator, who is praised forever. Amen. There's a lot there, but and you can make an hour sermon unpacking those 7 verses. So we look at the claim here that his invisible attributes, his eternal power, divine nature, have been clearly seen since the creation of the world, being understood through what he has made. There are design patterns throughout every bit of creation. There are design patterns. So the belief that this can occur out of some chaotic mess, it is delusional thinking to believe that you can just flick a paintbrush and you get something intelligible. Now, abstract art, okay, it's unintelligent, to be honest. It can be colors and contrasts and shapes and stuff that just look good, okay? It's not telling you anything. You see a picture with trees, with people and stagecoaches and wooden buildings, you get a story from that. You get no story from abstract art. It's whim. So people refuse to see it simply because if they can somehow make believe that God is not there, then there's no reason for them to feel accountable for any of their actions. If there is no God, then there is absolutely no reason for law to even exist. For the social good, baloney. People, you really think people care about the social good? Look around. You got social justice, and I'm not calling them warriors. Social justice Marxists is what they are. Cultural Marxists. You have them, running around with all these issues, Antifa and those people, about this should be offending you, and if it's not offending you, then you're either a bigot, a racist, a misogynist, whatever ist or ism there is. If you don't agree with them, then you have the problem, not them. So whatever they can do to explain away the need for God or the possibility that God exists, then that keeps them comfortable. It keeps them in their little world. It keeps everything the way they want it. It's like bacteria. It has to have moisture and darkness, or whatever the conditions are, and so that's what they like. So what I realized is that, and what I was getting from this sermon from J. Vernon McGee, is that if people were somehow not able to believe that Satan exists, because, let's say, he camouflages everything he does. He's like this guy out there in the woods wearing a ghillie suit. Google it, ghillie. He can sit out there and do things wearing his ghillie suit and nobody ever sees him. Because they don't see him, then he doesn't exist, right? And, or you get, they make it funny, or, kind of comical, that he could pitchfork and a little a pointed tail, and that is so not Satan. That is not what God created. God created angels. Angels are very beautiful beings. The most beautiful of them that was created was Lucifer. And he is called by God himself. He is called, the original sin was Lucifer thinking that he could be equal to God, that he could ascend to a like position. Maybe he was dumb enough to think that he could replace God, but I don't think he was. I think he was smarter than that. I think he thought that he would be able to ascend to a position like God and not have to be dependent on God, care what God wanted, that he would be able to rule and reign with his own dominion. Well, that is the original sin. And he so despised God's creation because he could not create. He so despised God's creation that he came to the Garden of Eden and deceived one not to eat from the feet of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The deception was that God was simply trying to keep Eve from being like God. It's funny because that's exactly what Lucifer was trying to do to begin with. So just like he was able to deceive a third of the angels, he deceived woman. And so Now, Adam is pulled into it because he loves his wife. I can understand being torn between doing something that might be the right thing to do or doing what your spouse or other loved one wants you to do. That's a different story. So Satan does what he does not in the open. He doesn't appear in front of us and say, okay, need to go. You see that cute little hottie over there, or that really buff looking dude over there? Yeah, you need to go get involved with this. You never see the strings, okay? You don't see him doing these things. He stays out away, hidden, camouflaged. And so because we don't see, or because others don't see Lucifer, see Satan for what he is, God and what he does. If that makes sense. So what I want to do is here, I kind of wrote down a list of things. The opposite, or the one side and the opposing side. We have law, good, and evil. Right, wrong, life, death, heaven, hell. I can't, and I will. And that last was interesting because I forget how many of them there were, but there were like 5 I wills, I think, that Satan said. When the believer says, I can't. In other words, I can't do any of this on my own. I can't. If I'm going to say I will, I'm probably doing the wrong thing. But anyway, so the interesting thing here is when we look at where we're at in this postmodern age of relative truth, which is it's what we're talking about, being given over. You don't want God to exist. You say, well, Satan doesn't exist either. There is no right and wrong or good or evil. It's just the way we're made. What about law? If the law says you know, their speed limit is 55, and you go 56, you're breaking the law. You were wrong. Now, there are things we can say, well, it's just decent to do these things. Where do you get it from? You can't be decent without something indecent. There can't be happiness without unhappiness. There can't be comfort without suffering. You wouldn't know what comfort was if there wasn't suffering. You wouldn't know what relief is if there wasn't pain. Here's another way that I think we can illustrate this concept of not seeing something. If you walk around with your hand over one of your eyes, you only get one perspective. You get right, okay? You can't see anything over here. It's gone. I don't see you. Now, let's say you're not doing this, but someone is doing this. You don't see it. He took a third of the angels. They're his minions, demons and such, fallen angels. They're his minions. They're doing his work. They're all deluded too. The easiest thing for someone to do is to say, if God was a loving God, how come he would let man go to hell? Or how come he would send man to hell? Hell wasn't made for mankind. It was made for Satan and his fallen angels and his minions. And in the end, what happens is if you choose in your heart, one of the cravings of your heart is you don't want to ever hear anything else about God. You want God to leave you alone. God answers everybody's prayer at least once. At least one prayer he will answer for everyone. If you endeavor in your heart to absolutely want nothing to do with God, he will answer that prayer. But he is such a loving God, merciful God, he will not answer it until you leave this earth. Because then the time is up. You know when that'll be? Nobody knows. It's like we don't know the time, day or hour when Christ will call up the church in rapture. We don't know that. Nor do we know the time of our death. The time that this body goes to sleep, yes, it's really sleep. There is an eternity. There is hereafter. Think about this. Your soul is immortal. Your soul is immortal. You want immortality? You have it. It's not what you think. You're either going to spend eternity exactly the way you want it in separation from God, which is called the death, the second death. If that's what you really want, you'll get it. But you're going to remember for an eternity, you're going to be playing over and over and over and over and over and over in your head. You will be playing every time somebody brought the gospel of Christ to you and you care, I don't want it. And that is going to be one of your many sufferings. Because then you're going to realize the truth. Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. So remember, the adversary is not the lion you see out there. He's in a ghillie suit. He's sneaking up on you from behind. Of course. He's trying to come at you. Yeah. He's not out there working in the streets, keeping people evil. That's natural. It's natural. He's working in the communities and in the churches, keeping believers from working in their communities, from spreading the gospel. He's working in the churches to spread a false gospel, to deceive. The only gospel is the gospel of Christ. Admit that you're a sinner. Believe that he died for you to redeem you, to cleanse you of that sin, and then call upon him and commit, be, believe, see, call and confess. ABC. Simple. Too simple for some people. They just say, no, it can't be. I've got to work to get there. No, not at all. Well, I'll have some more later on. Y'all stay safe.